The Rangers could be looking to move on from Jacob Trouba. Does it make sense for the Sharks to try to help them out?
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Western Conference Tuesdays on the Locked On NHL Network. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen, proudly part of the Locked On Network. We cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch this on YouTube as well. And today we're going to be discussing a very popular theory, and that is Jacob Trouba to the San Jose Sharks. So we'll just discuss why the Rangers are potentially moving on from Trouba, what the Sharks would be getting in Jacob Trouba if they do acquire him, and then what that potential deal would look like and if I would do it. So we'll kind of go through all that. So before we start with kind of the reasoning why Rangers are potentially moving on from Jacob Trouba, just want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So Jacob Trouba, captain defenseman for the New York Rangers, is very much in the crosshairs when it comes to Rangers fans, Rangers media, et cetera, et cetera. Our own John Sheik, who does the Locked On Rangers, he did a whole podcast on if the Rangers should buy out Jacob Trouba. Spoiler, he kind of came to the conclusion that, yeah, it's time to move on. And the Sharks, who one, need some help getting to the cap floor, and two, are still in asset gathering mode, even though we are starting to build, you're still in asset gathering mode. So I'm going to kind of go through the thought of why it would make sense for the Sharks to at least consider this and kind of the roadblocks, of course, in the way for this. So let's start with the Rangers perspective, right? Trouba, who we'll dig into Trouba here a little bit more in a second, but Trouba, who does make $8 million and has 2 years left on that deal, is age 30, will just turn 30 in February. And his contract. So currently, he is on a no move clause. Starting July 1st, that changes over to a modified no trade clause with a 15-team trade. So he picks 15 teams that he does not want to be traded to. And then that changes in 25-26 to a 12-team no trade list. So for this deal to be done, which I expect this deal would probably be a right before the draft type of deal or day of the draft type of deal, Jacob Trouba would have to waive his no movement clause. So just something to keep him as a big hurdle for them. For the Rangers, it makes sense to potentially move on from him because one, you're paying Adam Fox $9.5 million, and Adam Fox is way better than Jacob Trouba. Two, Igor Shesterkin is going to need a new deal after this season. You also are going to need to eventually pay Alexei Lafreniere, who really had his breakout season this year. And the Rangers only have $11.6 million of space heading into this offseason, and they are very much square in a championship window. And $8 million this offseason could do a lot. You can add a lot of good pieces to this team. So let's look at Jacob Trouba and what he would potentially bring to the Sharks. So Jacob Trouba 6'3", 203 pounds. Like I said, 2 years left on his deal this year. In 69 games played in the regular season, he had 3 goals, 19 assists, 129 shots on goal, averaged 21.15 time on ice a night. Corsi for 47.61, goals for 44.44%. Looking at his evolving hockey, playing first pairing minutes, especially with all that even strength time. And then he was, of course, not going to be playing much power play time when you have Adam Fox, who's one of the 5 best defensemen in the league. But Trouba struggled, and his numbers, his analytics struggled this year. Playing that percent, he was a 6th percentile defenseman, 5 percentile offensively, 16th percentile defensively. Just kind of red numbers across the board. So what does he kind of do good? I think is the question to ask here. And looking at his zone stats from Corey Schneider, does great work over at all 3 zones. His offense was okay-ish. Didn't do a great job of creating rebounds generated per 60. Was really good at creating deflection assists per 60. So getting kind of pucks towards the net and letting guys kind of deflect it there. Was solid at his defensive zone retrievals. That's getting the puck kind of started out of the zone. So kind of winning those races and getting the puck going. But getting the actual puck out of the zone, he struggled in that part, and also struggled at the actual zone defense of letting guys into the zone there. So he would be good at kind of getting the at least starting to get the play going, but not really getting the play. And that's what the Sharks need, right? The Sharks need that transition guy. And I don't think Jacob Trouba is really that guy. Looking at what he actually his player usage chart here, played tough minutes against top quality. Didn't really do the most with it, and you can kind of see that with the rest of his stats here. So Trouba is definitely a guy where you're hoping that he's probably more of a 4th, 5th, 6th type of defenseman. And unfortunately with the Sharks is he would by default be probably their best defenseman here. So and the area that he struggles in, which is getting the puck kind of transitioning, getting the puck out of the zone, is the area where the Sharks really, really need the most amount of help. So and this doesn't even include, of course, all the, I don't want to say baggage, but all the other stuff, we'll just say, with Jacob Trouba, who of course is known to take his fair share of dirty hits. We've seen in the playoffs him, flying into the boards, plenty of elbows. That's Trouba style play. He is very much I'm not going to say dirty player, but he definitely needs to take a shower because he is definitely one of those guys who's right on the edge. And I think if he's on your team, right, you're going to, of course, be more willing to kind of turn the other way. But it is something you have to kind of keep in mind because he's probably going to take dumb penalties at bad times or do things that get him fines. And with the rap sheet he's starting to build, you might start to see some more suspensions. I know he was suspended this year, and again, didn't really cover himself in glory in this playoffs right now. I think a lot of Rangers fans are putting a lot of the Rangers blame on his feet, combined with Panarin not really showing up. But Trouba's really kind of been the guy who's taken a lot of heat for the Rangers' failures in the playoffs. So, yes, Trouba, I think he still can be a solid to good player. But there's going to be some questions there. And of course, he has the ultimate decider because he has a no move clause, or soon to be a a 15-team no trade clause. And if he doesn't want to get traded, he doesn't have to. So, next, we're going to look at what the Sharks would be kind of asking for. Look at some potential pieces that they should ask for just in case he does want to get traded, as you're going to, I mean, this is going to be a glorified salary dump, right? The Rangers are going to look to try to get out of this contract, and the Sharks, though, could benefit from that. So we'll kind of dig into some of that stuff here in just 1 minute. If you need to check life insurance off your to-do list, you need to check out Policy Genius. Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It takes choosing the right policy for your family, makes it easy and quick. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options are 100% online and let you avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius helps you easily compare your options for America's top insurers in just a few clicks. And Policy Genius has no incentive to recommend one insurer over the other, so you can trust their guidance. They have thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found the best fit for their needs. So get peace of mind by finding the right life insurance with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you can save. That's policygenius.com. All right. So let's clear the hurdles. Just say, yep. Trouba realizing like, hey, I could be a potential buyout candidate here. And yes, if he's a buyout candidate, he still gets all of his money. And maybe he would prefer to be bought out because he gets to go pick his next destination based on whatever teams are interested. But we'll just say for the sake of this argument that he's cool with coming to San Jose. And remember, Mike Grier used to work for the New York Rangers before he became the GM of the San Jose Sharks. So there's going to be a relationship there between Grier and Trouba, and Grier in the front office of the New York Rangers. So and we know everything is built on relationships and who you know and who you've worked with, et cetera, et cetera. So I wouldn't be surprised if this deal did come together just because of that relationship, right? And for Mike Grier, he can sell Trouba, be like, hey, you can get away from New York media, come here, maybe reestablish your value a little bit, and see what kind of how things go. Of course, he's the captain. We need more leadership around, especially with such a young defensive core, right? The Sharks would also have like the most expensive pairing between Vlasic and Trouba, making like $15 million combined, which would be amazing. I wonder what the most expensive defensive pair. Anyway, that's a question for another day. I would assume maybe the Brent Burns, Erik Karlsson defensive pairing, but the Vlasic Trouba would probably be up there for the most expensive defensive pairing, at least this season. So what should the Sharks potentially look for in a deal? So our new friends, Puckpedia, relationship over with Cap Friendly. Puckpedia is now my best friend. They have a nice tool which kind of gives you what the type of salary, what you would be expecting in the relief for a salary cap dump. And this would be that's a hard question, is how much of this is actually a salary cap dump and how much of this is the Sharks getting a player that, frankly, I mean, like I said, he's going to be, like it or not, he's probably going to be their best defenseman. You could argue between him and Mario Ferraro, which one's your best defenseman, but right, I'm going to give Trouba a slight edge here. So taking on the full 2 years at $8 million, if a true salary dump, the expected draft compensation is the 13th overall pick, which last time I checked, the Minnesota Wild have that pick. As for the New York Rangers, with their picks, they have this year's first, next year's first, and 2026 first. No second this year, no third this year. They have a fourth, a fifth, a sixth. And then they have a third in 2026. Next year, they're just cleaned out on draft picks. So this is where maybe you get a little creative with it, and you can look at picks, right? Because the Sharks have a ton of picks. Maybe you get that 30th overall pick in this year's draft, which would be nice, especially if you're in the trade up into the top, 7, 8, to get yourself who you think could be a number one defenseman, whether that's Zeke William, Sam Dickinson, Perek, whoever you like. Of course, we know everyone Locked On Sharks here is very much trade up for Zeke William, but it gives you a little bit more ammunition to do that if you wanted to. So maybe the package starts with the pick 30th. Maybe the Sharks give back one of their, maybe that third round pick that they got from Tampa, which gives them a little bit more ammo for the Rangers to make a pick there. And then maybe you ask for a young player who's not really lived up to expectations. And that would be Kaapo Kakko. 6'2", 206-pound winger. He is an RFA this offseason with a qualifying offer of $2.4 million. So the Sharks could give him that $2.4 million. It can go to arbitration, or you could try to work out a longer type of deal. 61 games this year, 13 goals, 9 assists, 91 shots on goal. Only played 13-17 average time on ice. Corsi for 50.28, goals for 53.33 for Kaapo Kakko. Looking at his evolving hockey card, playing second line minutes, 31st percentile player, 47th percentile offensively, 44th percentile defensively. Expected goals above replacement was really nice, but the actual goals above replacement was below at replacement level. So he's creating expected goals. He's just not getting them. Wasn't really, on the power play, kind of playing a little bit over second line minutes. Again, when you have Panarin and Lafayette and Troy, right, it's hard to crack that top lineup for Kaapo Kakko. Looking at what Kaapo Kakko does well with the zone entries, kind of looking at the zones, does create shots per 60s above the relative league average there, but the chances per 60, chances assists per 60, offensively in his passing, not the greatest there. Does a great job on rush offense and getting shots off in the high danger passes. Struggles at getting the puck into the zone, but is really good defensively at getting the puck out of the zone and getting the puck going the other way, which is, again, something the Sharks need help with. You'd prefer to get it on the blue line, but it is something that Kaapo Kakko is pretty good at there. So looking at his usage chart, definitely a kind of below he's getting a little bit easier kind of starts, but maybe not really making the most of it. And we kind of see that looking at his other numbers. So for the Sharks, taking a chance on a guy who was, again, the second overall pick, this is a type of player, second overall pick in the 2019 draft, who got thrown right in the NHL and really struggled throughout his career. He's had last year, the 2022-2023 season was his best season, where it looked like he maybe started to turn a corner, had 40 points in 82 games, and this year really took a step back. So is it maybe a situation where new scenery, playing with different teammates, maybe playing with guys who are a little bit better at passing him the puck, or maybe just getting more minutes and better, who knows? Maybe it's a situation where you could definitely see Kaapo Kakko. Sorry, that's going to be a little bit. Kaapo Kakko really have a second act to his career after struggling really through the first 5-6 years of his career here. Again, he's only 24, but at the same time, you already have one of these on your roster in Filip Zadina, and Zadina really couldn't do much last year. We saw the goal scoring go up, but also struggled to kind of establish himself as a top 6 winger on the Sharks team and played bottom 6 minutes. So he would definitely be, if you feel like the talent is still there and there's a reason why he went second overall, giving him another situation where he can grow with some of these younger players. And again, he's only 24. It's something to definitely look at. So that could be one of your sweeteners, or maybe you are asking for, you're taking Fox, you're taking Kaapo Kakko, and you're taking a first round pick. And then you're giving a third round pick and a Sharks, one of the 2020 prospect guys, whether it's a Tristan Robbins, an Ozzy, somebody like that who can help out, a young guy who can help out on a cheap contract. Could be something that you're looking at. Again, for the Rangers, what they get out of it is you have $8 million that you can go do other stuff and try to make your team better right now, as you're in a very defined, you're in a championship window for the Rangers. So we'll discuss like what I would do here and maybe look at some other potential targets for the Sharks in this trade here in just 1 minute. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL. There's also baseball, if that's your thing. And right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can bet on everything from the Finals MVP. If you think the Dallas Mavericks are going to maybe get back on track here in Game 3. If you're full of Vamos Gatos right now, if you're an oil man, or maybe you just want to bet on the Giants or bet on the A's or whatever it is, go do that. If you win, you'll get $200 that you can use on player props, money lines, spreads, whatever. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right. So just some other guys to potentially kind of keep an eye on. And I know what Sharks fans, what you're thinking, right? The Rangers, they picked a guy in the first round last year that I know a lot of Sharks fans would love to get in their system. And that's Gabe Perreault. That's not happening, guys. Like Gabe Perreault's probably spending one more year in college, and he's going to be on the Rangers next year. And they're going to need a skilled young player like that on a ELC, especially as they add. Like Shesterkin's going to get a monster deal, right? K'Andre Miller's probably is, I think, due for a new deal here soon too. Like they're going to need a guy like Gabe Perreault, who they think is probably going to be an awesome guy. Like they're going to need that contract. Maybe if it's Gabe Perreault and Jacob Trouba for like a third round pick. Cool, but again, I just don't see the Ranger. Like, would you trade Will Smith if you're the Sharks? Would you trade Quentin Musty if you're the Sharks? Like, no, that would be like you would lose your mind as a Sharks fan if they did that, right? I think the Rangers, yes, they are in their championship window. But I think they probably feel that Gabe Perreault can be a piece that contributes very soon. So that's probably why they're going to want to keep him. So you could look at a guy like Brendan Othman, who was a first-round pick in 2021, speedy scoring winger, who I think would really, he had a really nice season in the AHL. I think he had like 49 points this year. That would really, I think, also fit that Sharks timeline with kind of what they're doing here, and then having a scoring guy that you could play in the top 6 with Celebrini, with Will Smith, potentially makes a ton of sense there. So just a couple of targets there. So I think with this deal, the Sharks are going to have to maybe give something back a little bit, just like we saw with the Barclay Goodrow type of deal. But if you're taking on that full contract, you're probably going to get a really nice piece back, whether it's a first-round pick, Kaapo Kakko, a prospect that's going to be kind of turning NHL, that's going to be NHL ready really soon. That's going to kind of come down to what the big thing is. I think for Mike Grier, right? you do have a lot of work to get to that salary cap floor, and just under $15 million to get to just to the floor. And adding an $8 million contract that's only got 2 years left would do that. And his contract is going to expire right at the perfect time when you're going to have to start paying Eklund, you're going to have to start paying Will Smith, you're going to have to start paying Celebrini, et cetera, et cetera. Potentially Fabian Zettelin if Zettelin goes nuts here this season. Where you are going to have bigger contracts starting to hit the books here soon, and getting as many assets as you can right now isn't the worst thing in the world, because again, you're at some point going to have to build around your young players. And Trouba, I still think, is a solid enough player to where I think he could help out a young Sharks team and be a guy for, like Henry Thrun, Ty Emberson, who, of course, Ty Emberson was part of the Rangers prospect line, like prospect pool. Macklin Celebrini's on TV right now, but our sweet boy. I think though for Mike Grier, you really have to, I think, take advantage of a desperate Rangers team. And we don't know. Again, we're speculating here. It's very much media driven on how much Trouba is wanted or not wanted in New York anymore. But if everybody's looking for a clean break, looking for a fresh start, Mike Grier should be at the front of the line to try to get as much out of the Rangers here, as you're trying to take advantage of a desperate team who wants to move a massive contract off and still compete in their window. So if the price is right, if the return is right, this is something I would really, really think about. If you're not getting either a first round pick or a high level prospect like a Brendan Othman, or again, I don't think Gabe Perreault's coming, but if Gabe Perreault's there, like it's going to be really hard for me to say no in this deal. But it has to be the return, right? The return is what makes this for the Sharks. And you can ride out 2 years of Jacob Trouba, who's, even if he doesn't want to play, like I'm sure you could IR him. We've seen that before in the NHL, where it's like, here, go collect your paychecks. Thanks. Not that I don't think he'd want to do that. Players want to play, but I think you can make it a situation that works in the short term, where Trouba kind of comes in. He can be a good guy for some of these young guys to learn from. Maybe not don't want the elbow stuff, but and then you're getting a nice pick out of it, and that's what you should be doing, weaponizing this cap space, especially if you're not going to be able to spend it all, or don't have the ability, or don't want to spend it all right now. Taking on a big contract like this and getting a premium piece back is what Mike Grier should be doing, as you also try to add some other pieces around Celebrini and Smith. So it all depends on the return. Yeah, a lot of variables in this, but it's just something to explore. And if you can potentially get Kaapo Kakko back, it just depends on if you believe Kaapo Kakko's can turn into something in a new situation, or if maybe he's just kind of cooked. So, yeah, big question that maybe that actually isn't a big question at all, because maybe Jacob Trouba just comes back next year and plays on the Rangers and finishes out his contract, and maybe he turns it around, but who knows? So that's going to be it for me today. We'll be back tomorrow. Actually, we got plenty of draft stuff coming this week. Scheduled good friend of the show should be back for Wednesday, where we'll continue looking at kind of 3 prospects at a time as we hit this end of the first, beginning of the second players. We had our Locked On NHL mock draft, where all the hosts, we did the full first round. So I'm going to be dissecting that on Thursday. So we'll talk about top 10. We'll talk about the pick number 14. You'll see who I picked, who I was targeting. And then we'll look at guys that would still be left on the board for pick 33. So make sure you guys are following along for that. We'll also review the 2023 NHL Sharks draft class, and it's looking good. Mike Grier, you might be good at your job. So that's going to be it. Make sure you guys are following along wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked On Sharks. Follow me on Twitter at MyFryhole. Till tomorrow. Bye, friends.